Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Emerge Wrestling Showcase. I'm Casey Johnson alongside my broadcast colleague, Richey Stevens. And EMERGE13 Outbreak was this past weekend, and it was every bit as good as we thought that it might be, Rich.
I'm speechless, Casey. You know, I didn't think that we'd be able to top EMERGE12 consequences, and Outbreak just, it blew me away.
Blew it out of the water for sure. And that all started with the pre-show match. Let's get right into it, where we had Mance Warner and King Crush going up against Luke Lawson and Jay Maddox in what was a fantastic way to start out the night.
You know what, Casey? It was, and I don't want to sound arrogant or anything, but my pick was right.
Now, that's the first time in your life I remember you trying to avoid sounding arrogant, but that being said, you were right. King Crush did pull out the win here, hit a beautiful 450 on Luke Lawson to get the pinfall, and I would say, King Crush looked more impressive than we've seen him look any time previously.
See, at the beginning of the match, it looked a little rough for him. Luke Lawson he's a rather big dude.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. I was a little intimidated by him, but King Crush took a beating, and then he got Mance Warner in, and once he got Mance in, it was just over for them.
And Mance came in like a ball of fire about halfway through the match, and he made sure that Luke Lawson and Jay Maddox had a fight on their hands, but Jay Maddox was sort of able, I think, to control the outbreak, if you will, of Mance Warner in this particular match, and he was able to cut off the momentum a little bit, and it ended up being Luke Lawson that took the pinfall, because later on in the match, Mance Warner comes in again, and this time Luke Lawson didn't get the best of Mance Warner, hit him with a huge spine buster. And then King Crush goes up for the 450 splash, and then that is it as far as the match is concerned.
Well, and then, of course, the little thing after the match where Jay and Luke kind of had their little argument in the ring.
Yeah, that was an interesting time. Jay Maddox felt that Luke Lawson was the reason that they lost that match, I'm assuming, is what happened, and they got into a little bit of a scuffle. Jay Maddox tried to maim Luke Lawson, and Mance Warner ended up making the save. I noted while we were there, both of these guys, graduates from the School of Rock, they know each other very well, and in the match, it seemed like that was working to their disadvantage, like they had some pre-existing beef, but it looks like, the whole blood is thicker than water, kind of.
Yeah. And that was actually one thing I like to see, that these two fellow classmates of the School of Rock, made amends.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how they work together in the future, if they work together in the future, if they can get past their differences.
I want to see Crush and Mance Warner go again. They were a great tag team match, Casey.
That's true.
You got King Crush, who's the high flyer, and Mance Warner, who's just a powerhouse. It worked to their advantage, and I honestly want to see it again.
Either way, let's head now into the main card of EMERGE13 Outbreak. Outbreak title tournament, the first three matches of the official card were the three first round matches in that tournament. Of course, the winner receiving the shot at the winner of Chris Caliber and Kenneth James next month. And this tournament was everything I think that we thought it would be, and it started out first match of the night, potentially match of the night.
Yeah.
Because Zachary Wentz, Kyle Maverick, and Donnie Idol went out there, and they gave everything that they had. There were some things in that match that I've legitimately never seen before.
I don't even know, Casey. I'm still speechless from the entire night. The entire night was just so amazing, and I can't even comprehend what I was gonna say.
Well, Donnie Idol got the win here, looking very impressive. All three men looking very impressive. It really could have come down to anybody.
And I know we picked Donnie Idol to be the winner, so we were right there. But Kyle Maverick, he's starting to impress me more and more each time I see him wrestle. Mm-hmm. And it's... Honestly, I like his technique. I think he's a great guy. I think he has a shot at possibly going for the Outbreak again.
Yeah, definitely. And we have an interview with him next week on Showcase, so we'll see what he has to say and what his future plans are right there. But either way, Donnie Idol advances hometown crowd, of course, incredibly into the match. And then we get into a match where the crowd wasn't nearly as into the winner.
I was.
Of course you were.
I mean, I love Jeremy Hadley. Jeremy Hadley is a great guy. Now, did he do something that I did not see eye to eye with him on? Yes. And that it disturbed me a little bit. And I don't think it's something you should ever do, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that here in a minute.
Yeah, definitely. We come out. The match has a lot of action between Malcolm Monroe III, Anthony Totelli, and Jeremy Hadley. And Hadley, at the beginning of the match, immediately gets out of the ring, and you were beside yourself with joy at this point.
Yes, because I saw a little Kenneth James in him, because he was doing the technique Kenneth James did last month at EMERGE13 with his match against Anthony Totelli and Kyle Maverick. Mm-hmm. He was examining their technique.
And second time Anthony Totelli has fallen victim to that same strategy. So as we progress through the match, a lot of it was Malcolm and Anthony swatting Jeremy Hadley away, kind of like an annoying fly. It was interesting to see, to say the least, because once he got out of the ring, he tried to get back in the ring and tried to do the same thing that KJ did last month, except they kind of just made sure he stayed out of the ring. He didn't pick his spot nearly as well, I think.
And then he did the thing I was not happy with. He went after Anthony Totelli's girlfriend, Kinsey, and I'm sorry, that's just one thing that you never do. I mean, he did it to Karma. Was it Karma he did it to a couple weeks ago? Oh, yeah, that was just... That wasn't okay then. It's not okay now. She's not a wrestler. She's out there giving support to Anthony. You don't go after a girl, dude. That's just not cool.
Well, as surprising as it is to finally see you show some morals, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that was a good thing that he did. Of course I'm not. It was a terrible thing that he did. And of course you never do that. It worked.
It did work.
It worked. And I mean, as much as you can say about Jeremy Hadley, and a lot could be said about Jeremy Hadley,
he's an overall great guy. It was just that crossed the line.
The farthest thing from that. That being said, however, all the things you could say about him, he is brilliant, and he knows exactly what he needs to do in order to get the upper hand, and he's struggling at this point to get back into the ring, and so he gets Anthony Totelli to come out of the ring, catches him off guard, and ends up pulling out the victory and moving on to the finals.
Because he wanted to go up against Donnie Idol. He wanted to go another round.
Mm-hmm. And that being said, too, he wanted to go against Chris Caliber again. He's still mad that he lost that Outbreak Championship. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Jeremy Hadley able to capitalize off of Anthony Totelli's anger and able to pull out the win, although it wasn't it wasn't through any means that I personally deem right. You have your issues with him going after Kinsey, but I did not approve of the way that this match went down.
I supported the end of this match just because we got to see the debut of the Hellfire Club in action for the first time.
Yeah. In action. As the match ends, you see Sage Phillips, Christopher Icon, and Cole Radrick all come out, the rest of the Hellfire Club. And it was another one of those situations you see so often in wrestling where there's a guy on each apron, and the poor guy had nowhere to go. And he ended up pulling out the win, and he put up a fantastic fight, but Jeremy Hadley ended up getting the best of him. You have your issues with him going after Kinsey, like I said. I have issues with this. Now, I understand technically, and I'm sure this is a loophole you'll be so glad to exploit, but technically they didn't do anything wrong because there's no disqualification in a triple threat match.
Absolutely not.
We realized as they were all kind of swarming. But that being said, I cannot sit here and have respect for a guy who can't fight his own battles.
Well, I mean, Casey, all great warriors need a little help every once in a while.
Next match, Cole Radrick, Beautiful Bret Havoc, and Trevor Court. Now, we had already seen the Hellfire Club show their dominance, or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, it was straight up dominance, Casey.
Yeah, okay, whatever. When they got banned from ringside. When Cole Radrick came out, he came out with Jeremy Hadley, with Sage Phillips, and with Christopher Icon, no doubt. They were willing to do the same thing again, but props to Dave Dynasty. Dave made sure that wasn't going to happen, and he banned them from the ringside.
And I don't like that, Casey, because there are no disqualifications in a triple threat match. And
yeah, but you want it to be one on one. You want that fight. You want Cole Radrick to prove that he can do it by himself.
I feel like Dave should have just banned them from interfering, and if they would have interfered, they would have been banned. They could have been out there for moral support, just like Kinsey was for Anthony Toatelli.
There is no reason that they would be out there if not to interfere. There's no reason they would be out there if not to.
I honestly feel like they would have been out there to show some moral support.
So
Cole
Radrick can hug Sage Phillips again when he's hurt? That was a great moment last show.
Yeah, it was a beautiful moment. It was showing the bromance.
Either way, Beautiful Bret Havoc and Trevor Court put up a fantastic fight. Cole Radrick ends up getting the win, though.
Yeah. Like I said, Cole Radrick is coming into his new form and everything. He's showing that he has improved since the first time I've seen him wrestle. Mm-hmm. And he's getting his head more in the game and starting to show a little bit more anger.
Yeah, and I definitely I noticed the anger that he was showing when he threatened to kill my entire family. That was a great show of ruthlessness.
He said he was going to kill my kid too, but the joke's on him. I don't have a kid. Just my appreciation for him as a fan.
You are a human trash can.
Yeah, that's been said a lot.
By me. Most days of the week, I call you that.
Yeah.
Just saying, you're just really a bad person, just overall.
You love me.
I have to. I'm Baptist. If I don't love you, I'm going to hell.
Same, fam.
Speaking of hell, the Hellfire Club reigns dominant, I guess, here. And this is, I mean, I can't, well, I can totally fault them, and I do. But either way, this is what they set out to do. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Moving on, we got past our first intermission and we came back to a match that was tearing you apart and a match that still has not ceased to tear you apart.
No, I feel my chest just.
8-bit punks versus Pretty Perfect for the tag team titles. I chose Pretty Perfect. You chose the 8-bit punks. Technically, we were both right. Technically, we were both wrong.
I was just more right.
How were you more right than
because the 8-bit punks still have the title.
Double count out. The four men all battled to a double count out, and it was a draw. And of course, the 8-bit punks totally claim it as a victory because they're cool. But yeah, of course. That being said, I feel like this is a matchup we could see again in the future because I don't think anything was settled between these two teams.
I hope not.
I hope so. I want to.
You know how when people like to be tortured, or like people like to have other people be tortured by tying them to horses and then having the horses run in different directions?
I feel like they don't do that anymore.
I'm talking about the older times. That's what I feel like right now.
You use present tense though.
I said liked. Either way, I feel like that guy that's about to be ripped apart by horses because I'm so torn between these two teams. And
well, maybe they won't go against each other again. There hasn't been an official announcement yet.
I hope not.
I want to see you squirm though.
Of course, you like it when I'm in pain.
Yeah, pretty much. And so I will say, though, this was a fantastic match, and I wouldn't blame Dave Dynasty if he booked the match again because these two teams went at it before we ended up getting that double count out. They fought each other. We got to see Damian lift Aaron up over his head again. We got to see some fantastic tag team wrestling there. And then we moved on to the last three-way of the night. Shenanigans galore again from the Hellfire Club. Jeremy Hadley ends up winning this tournament. He gets a shot at the winner of Chris Caliber and Kenneth James next month. And this was a match that it was a very good match, but it was a
sour ending for you.
It was and I gotta say, Jeremy Hadley and Cole Radrick versus Donnie Idol. That's what this was, and we said on the pre-show that maybe both of us accurately predicted this final match, and we said that Cole Radrick might win because Jeremy Hadley might, be willing to push the younger guy. I feel like we were both asking a bit too much of Jeremy Hadley because Cole Radrick was working to serve Jeremy Hadley that entire match, and all that they were doing was trying to beat up Donnie Idol.
Yeah. They just wanted to hurt things.
Mm-hmm. And again, the rest of the Hellfire Club was banned again from ringside, but they still found a way to interfere as Icon comes out. Next thing you know, we look directly to our right, and
I turn back. I look at you, and then I turn over, and I just see Jeremy Hadley standing right next to me, getting into Cole Radrick's jacket.
Yeah. He grabs Brass Knuckles, but the thing about it is, before the match, we were told repeatedly by Cole Radrick and Jeremy Hadley, don't do anything with that jacket. I just figured he wanted it as a nice accessory to wear when he won.
Cole Radrick, he wants to try to look superstarish.
Well, there were brass knuckles in there.
So what you're saying, we probably should have patted it down.
That probably should have happened at some point. Yes, the brass knuckles come out. Hadley actually misses. Donnie ducks under the brass knuckles. And Donnie, I mean, to his credit, put up a fantastic fight against the two members of the Hellfire Club.
I respect that completely. I respect Donnie Idol for the fight he had to go through. But it just wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough because Sage Phillips got in the ring.
Exactly.
And knocked out. No!
Yes.
No! Oh my Lord.
Sage Phillips.
He should not have been involved.
It was working the system. They were brilliant about it.
So Sage Phillips gets in, springboard, knocks out Donnie Idol. Sage gets under the ring.
He was under there for a little while, too.
Yeah, he was under there for like
5 minutes?
5 minutes at least. And then Jeremy Hadley, of course, gets the win, gets the Outbreak title shot. And it really wasn't right. But either way, we move on to the Outbreak title match. And the Outbreak title match was everything that we said it might be. I mean, these two guys went at it. These two guys both wanted to win that match.
I got to give it to Chris Caliber, though. I've gained some respect for him. Mm-hmm. He's a great wrestler. I mean, everyone knows I support Kenneth James to the fullest extent because I love the way he exploits someone else's weakness. But Chris Caliber, I have to say I'm growing some respect for him, but I still think that Kenneth James was the better wrestler in this match, even though he lost.
As we saw the match progress, Kenneth James started to pick apart the body of Chris Caliber piece by piece, and I fully believe if that was anybody else on the other side of the ring from Kenneth James would have won.
Yeah.
But Chris Caliber is no slouch, and he ended up pulling out the victory just by the fact that, you know, he was able to withstand this onslaught from Kenneth James. And then he was able to take advantage and pull out the victory. Beautiful swanton from the top. Same move that he used to win that title. Ended up getting the win with it.
It was beautiful, Casey. I mean, I'm sad that Kenneth James didn't win, but I'm excited to see Jeremy Hadley go up against Chris Caliber again.
I will say, as much as I hate the way that Jeremy Hadley won this tournament, Jeremy Hadley did not win any fights by himself that night. And I will say that again, Jeremy Hadley did not win any fights by himself that night.
Hadley, you got this.
I cannot wait to see this match again. These two guys, and I do not use this word lightly, they hate each other. They hate each other with a fiery, seething passion, and I cannot wait to see them go up against each other one more time.
Speaking of hatred, Casey, let's talk about the final match of the night: Apollo Star and Remy versus Jacob Johns and JD Mariani.
Yeah,
you want to talk about hatred? The hatred between Apollo Star and JD Mariani is real.
These two guys at this point don't like each other. But oh wait, I forgot to say something. And we're gonna need to go back just a little bit because
what did we forget?
I have a story to tell you.
Oh,
just
yay.
Sit back and listen, because I have received questions from fans, from you. What, Casey? You don't like Jeremy Hadley? No, I don't. And I'm going to take this opportunity because it ties in perfectly right there. in 2008, just before my 12th birthday, I was 11 years old. I went to my first ever live wrestling show. It was great. WWE superstar Eugene was on the card. First time I ever got to see Donnie Idol wrestle. Then there was Jeremy Hadley. Jeremy Hadley wins his match, rolls out of the ring. I tell him that he sucks. And he replies with, "I will knock the fat off you." Now, the reason that I bring this up is because something amazing happened that you were sitting right there, but you didn't see it. I just kind of broke down laughing on commentary. You didn't see it. My stepsister brought her children to their first wrestling show. And
you told me about this.
Lo and behold, Jeremy Hadley started picking on my family. And my 7-year-old niece gave Jeremy Hadley the finger.
You told me about this and I just had to stop.
And I just look up and I see my 7-year-old niece giving Jeremy Hadley the finger. And so I just want to say, Lacey, if you're watching this, good job. Jeremy Hadley is a bad, bad man. And we give bad, bad men the finger. That's what we do. We don't take crap in this family.
Then why haven't I given you one?
And Savannah, if you're watching this, I'm the uncle. That's the advice I'm supposed to give her.
You got a point there.
Either way, though, moving on to the main event, and while I'm telling stories,
we had to stop telling stories during that match.
Nice attempt at a little segue there. I was trying for something else. This is my phone. As you can see, the phone case is new. I've had my phone out on every episode of Showcase.
Yes, you have.
The Mastodon, JD Mariani, came through during his entrance, took my phone case, not even my phone, just the phone case, snapped it.
You didn't want your phone to be protected.
And I find it interesting that he snapped my phone case. You might look at this, you might say, why the phone case? That's so pointless. Exactly. Like, what the crap? And I've said this before about JD. JD's just a bully, and he will take any little advantage that he thinks that he has, and he will push your buttons.
I don't see what you have against him. I mean, he picked up my phone. He looked at my phone, saw the Iron Man background, gave me a grin, put it back down, and then picked up your phone case.
First of all, I've never seen JD Mariani smile ever.
Oh, I got a little grin. He just doesn't like you.
I know, and I don't know why.
Probably because you picked on Nikki.
I didn't pick on Nikki. That never happened.
I've done nothing but praise her.
Yeah, praise. Good word. Down on your knees, worshiping her. That's what you do.
She's the queen. She deserves
you are
it.
Such a try-hard.
There's nothing wrong with showing a little worship to the queen.
Nah, we'll have this conversation later. As I said earlier, I'm Baptist. I have a book that is literally 66 straight compilations of what happens when you worship queens and kings. It never goes well, is all I'm saying.
It has for England.
Oh yeah, what? Yeah. So they created us. They inspired this country.
We'll have this conversation
We
later.
have a weird grandpa and a beaver running for president.
Tables. Let's talk about tables.
Fine.
Not the voting, but the tables.
Fine. Crazy grandpa and a beaver. That being said, this match was amazing.
Yes, it was.
And as angry as I am at the things JD Mariani does to me, as weirded out as I am by the fact that you're such a blowhole,
I thought we were gonna die, Casey.
I thought, well, if I hadn't moved, Jacob Johns would have landed directly on me.
See, I saw Chris Lowe get up, and I was like, "That's the cue for we need to move." I thought about leaving you.
Oh, well, you're such a great friend.
You called me a blowhole.
I hadn't called you a blowhole yet.
No, you bit me on live television.
You impotent, unbuffered rickroll of a person.
Don't insult my haircut. Back to the match.
Yeah, I mean these guys want. It helps when you have when you have a table match for a reason.
Yeah.
Right. You know, where it's not just, I don't know the name of the event, WWE, but you have two people who are putting each other through tables for reasons. And in this case, four people who all wanted to put each other through tables. And this match was hard-hitting. This match was fast-paced. And this match scared me, legitimately.
Didn't get a lot of commentary.
Didn't get a lot of commentary, no. Like, at least half of the match we had to leave.
And then we realized we could have just picked up
that's true
the equipment and taken it with us.
Yeah, I mean, because, like, folks, I'm going to be extremely transparent with you. We record on a sound recorder, and then we sync it up with the video. We could have taken this with us at any time.
I don't know why we didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, there wasn't time to think like that.
Nope, I just threw the headset and I ran.
You know when I thought of that? When we were already back, doing commentary.
The second time.
When you have Jacob Johns flying toward you off of a punch from Remy Wilkins, who, by the way, Remy, incredible addition to the Emerge roster, incredibly impressive.
Blew me away.
Great fighter.
I underestimated him.
And
a lot.
And I told you before, when he and Apollo start working together, they're going to be able to win this match.
I didn't believe you.
And
I do now.
Although I will give you props, and I gave you props on the show, you made a fantastic point where you have to get people up to get them through a table. But luckily, and I guess unluckily for Jacob Johns, holy crap.
Climbing the rope.
Yeah, they caught Jacob Johns climbing up to the second turnbuckle.
Remy just turns around.
And my people, our dear viewers, Jacob Johns, Jacob Johns,
the Midwest Monster,
falls from the second rope all the way to the concrete floor. Straight through a table.
Casey, I want to talk to you about something real quick.
Do it.
I've gone to many WWE events. I've luckily have never seen a tables match live. I've always ever seen it on a video game or on TV. Let me say, watching Jacob Johns go through that table, don't get me wrong, love Jacob Johns. It was very thrilling to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, you just and here's the thing about it too, and I'm Jacob Johns really barely even hit the table. And I mean, as much as I don't agree with the guy, I was concerned for him.
I was too.
Because we were sitting right next to it, and the way he fell, and it was like time was in slow motion, and you could see this look on his face that he just knew he was in for pain.
He knew he messed up.
Yeah, exactly. And so he falls, and you hear the table break.
And then you hear him hit the floor.
And then you hear him break. And it was just
Wow.
Landed about the right side of his rear, went through the table, and the left side just hit the concrete. And I mean, as much as I don't, agree with the guy, and I hope he's okay. I hope he's able to make it back next month.
I am too, Casey, because at the end of the match, Dave Dynasty announced that Remy will be taking on the Midwest Monster.
Yeah, and
only that, Apollo will be taking on JD Mariani for the title shot.
So let's look at this in steps here. Remy versus Jacob Johns. Provided that, Jacob is able to make it back, that'll be a fantastic match because Remy was incredibly impressive, and I told you he was going to be impressive. I told you that. You didn't believe me.
I'm getting the same chairs so we can make a quick escape.
Yes. We had rolly chairs, and that was extremely beneficial.
Yes, it was. I found them. I got Chris Lowe a chair. He got the low chair. No pun intended.
Yeah, it was lower than the rest of them. But then our main event for next month.
Is this
the trilogy?
Is this the third month in a row?
No. They faced at EMERGE.
No, next month will be.
No, they faced at EMERGE 5.
Okay.
1-on-1 for the title. Apollo lost. They faced last month at Consequences. 1-on-1 for the title. Apollo lost. And next month at EMERGE 14 Trilogy, the trilogy comes to a head.
I was thinking because,
it is the third,
been the main
it
event.
is the third month in a row that they have faced each other at some point on the card. A lot of threes involved. That being said,
I'm excited.
I have been saying, and obviously I want to save most of this for our pre-show for next show here in just a couple of weeks, but I have been saying for a long time, I think Apollo's day is coming, and I think if everything goes well, EMERGE 14 Trilogy might be Apollo's day.
I'm still, you know me, I
know you.
I'm gonna stick behind my boy JD.
The jokes write themselves. I'm not even going to go into that. That being said, however, that brings us to the end of EMERGE13 Outbreak, and we told you to get your tickets.
Yeah.
We said that. We said get your tickets. And if you weren't at that show, you need to start listening to us because that show was the best show that EMERGE has ever put on. Let's drop the mic here.
All right, so that'll wrap us up for this week's episode of Showcase. That's Casey Johnson. My name's Richie Stevens. See you next week, folks.